The incredible finds in the Grand Canyon of the United States and ancient artifacts pointing to Egypt. We should not be astonished because of what the Native American legends and mythology tell us, that the mounds were found to be existing before the Native Americans were there in the land. They also claim that there are ancient mounds and pyramids all the way across the North American continent, all the way to the West Coast. It's just that we have not found them. There's not that much interest in American archaeology. Unfortunately, most archaeologists and university scientists go to the old continent where they know they'll find artifacts because that's what their aim is. If they don't find anything, they don't get paid for it. Their university doesn't get grants for it. But this is what has been found most of the times accidentally in the Grand Canyon. A case that has aroused many archaeologists where they believe that it is Egyptian culture where it flourished in the area. And again, the emerald tablets written by Thoth the Atlantean claims that the Atlanteans had tremendous technology. This is before the Great Flood, of course, and that they had built various cities all across the globe, and the first thing they did was build pyramids. Thoth claimed that the continent of Atlantis, it was just a matter of time before the divine spirit put an end to them because they were not following God's commandments. They were misusing their advanced technology to the detriment of humanity. Many Atlanteans believed that it was a matter of time because of their haughtiness and their greed before they were put an end to, as did happen. But a lot of Atlanteans, Thoth claims, left before the destruction of Atlantis to establish cities in other areas of the world. And we do find these ancient cities in the ley lines of the earth. So we find this, some kind of Egyptian culture flourishing in the area of the Grand Canyon of the United States. The truth is that it looks like the Egyptian culture, but it is not. But because they have no answer for these findings, they give a solution in the air. The other enigmatic point in the whole affair is that although it has been discovered back all the way since 1909, it has not been exploited for tourism where it would break any world traffic record for something so ancient. Instead, there are guards placed everywhere important. We have various old articles from way back when, explorations of the Grand Canyon, what they found. And remarkable finds found in the Phoenix Gazette, April 5th, 1909, suggesting that some ancient people may have migrated from the East. History from one of the newspapers of that time. Quote, "The latest news of the progress of exploration, what is considered by scientists today as not only the oldest archaeological find in the United States, but one of the most valuable ancient monuments in the world, recently reported in the U.S. Government Gazette G.E. Kincaid, and the explorer who discovered the great underground citadel during his trip to the Grand Canyon, where he was on a trip from Green River, Wyoming, Colorado, in a wooden boat several months ago. According to newspaper reports related to the newspaper, Kincaid, archaeologists from the Smithsonian Institute, which funds the missions, have made discoveries that almost certainly want to prove that the tribe that inhabited this mysterious cave carved into the rock became from human hands and was of Eastern origin, probably from Egypt, from the time of Ramesses. Now let's remember that Egyptians had advanced technology as well. Not only did they have light in their buildings, the word Egypt means flight over the Aegean. They even had flight. That's what the Greek compound word Iptaminus means flight. Means Aegean. We have various images here of various very ancient structures looking like pyramids over the area of the Grand Canyon. On the mountain, it seems that human intervention has been performed in all its glory. From here, one says that one can go down or up to enter this enigmatic cave. We have entrances to various areas of the mountain next to the river, the Colorado River. The Hopi Caves that the guides show for incredible enigmatic caves. If their theories are confirmed by the translation of the tablets found engraved with hieroglyphs, they believe that the mystery of the prehistoric peoples of North America and their ancient art will be solved. Whoever they were and where they came from should be solved. Now let's remember that the Native Americans around the Great Lakes have been found to have DNA from the Minoan area, the Minoan era of ancient Greece. Minoan being ancient Crete. Going now back to this, the Nile in Egypt, Arizona, and Colorado seem to be linked to a historical chain running back to ancient times, escalating each writer's wildest imaginations. Under the guidance of Professor S.A. of Jordan, the Smithsonian Institute is now the most thorough exploration, which will continue until the last link in the chain is explored, nearly a mile underground, about 1,480 feet below the surface. The central Grand Pass has sunk, but there is another mammoth chamber from which it emits miles of lanes, such as the spokes of a wheel. Hundreds of rooms have been discovered, reached by passages where they start from the main passage, one of which has been explored is 854 feet, and some other is 634 feet. Recent finds include papyrus and tablet writings, which have never been known as a mother tongue in this country, and undoubtedly originated in the East. Weapons of war, bronze instruments, sharp angles, and hard as steel were found to have a processor with unknown technology, where they show the high state of civilization achieved by these strange people where they made them, where they made all these. Now, so the scientists, the preparations that are being prepared, that are being made, are to equip the field for extensive studies and the power to increase to 30 or 40 people. Before we go any further into the cave, better lighting installations must be made because the darkness is dense and impenetrable enough for the average lens. In order to avoid loss, the cables are strung from the entrance to all the corridors that lead directly to the large cabins. How far this cave extends, one cannot guess, but now it is the belief of many that what has already been explored are just the beginning. The ventilation of the cave shows that there is no other way out to the surface. Mr. Kincaid was the first to be born, first white child to be born in Idaho, and was an explorer and hunter all his life. 30 years of service to the Smithsonian Institute. Even though he told his story briefly, it sounds wonderful, almost ridiculous. He says, first of all, I would like, without impressing you, that the cave is almost inaccessible. The entrance is 1,486 feet below the clear wall of the gorge. It's located in government territory, and no visitor should be allowed to go down there, but there should be great care if anyone does go down, which has been done ever since. The desire of the scientists to work, end quote, the desire of the scientists to work undisturbed without the fear of archaeological finds being disturbed by poachers and tourists. The story of how I found the cave is relevant, but in one paragraph. He says, I was traveling under the Colorado River in a boat, alone, looking for minerals. 42 miles to the El Tovar River in the Crystal Gorge, I saw the east wall, large stains in the sedimentary formation, about 2,000 meters above the riverbed. There was no path at this point, but I finally got there with great difficulty. Above the plateau, which was invisible from the river, was the mouth of the cave. There are stairs that lead from this entrance about 30 meters to what it was at the time the cave was inhabited. It shows that the river level was there. When I saw the chisel marks on the wall through the entrance, I became interested. Securing my gun, I went inside. During this trip, I went back several hundred meters along the main passage until I reached the crypt and discovered the mummies. I picked up one of them and it was photographed through my lens. Unfortunately, this photo does not exist, but it has not been published since. I collected a series of heirlooms where I will send them to Washington with the details of the discovery. After that, the explorations became more numerous. Plans for how it is inside the cave, also the map of 1903 of the area. The main passage is about 12 meters wide. You reduce to 9 feet towards the end, which is about 57 feet longer. From the entrance, the first side passage to the right and left, along which on both sides are a number of rooms about the size of today's simple living rooms, although some are 30 to 40 feet square. That's pretty big. These are made of oval doors and are ventilated by air around the spaces through the walls. The walls are about 3 feet and 6 inches thick. The diodes are carved as straight as possible, which show that it was supervised by a civil engineer. The ceilings of the cave, where many of the rooms seem to converge in one center. The side passages near the entrance operate at a steep angle from the main hall, but backwards and gradually reach a right angle in the direction of the sanctuary. More than 100 meters from the entrance is the cuneiform hall, several hundred meters away, in which is the idol, an image or a god of the people who lived then, sitting cross-legged in a lotus flower or lily in each hand. The cast of the face is oriental. The carvings show a skillful hand, and the whole object is extremely well preserved, as is everything in the cave. The idol is almost like a Buddha, although scientists are not sure what his religion worship represents. Always keeping in mind that it has been found so far, it is possible that this cult is more like the people of Tibet. Note that he noticed and how different Tibet is from Egypt, which means he was not close to anything Egyptian, end quote. Mummies, multiple mummies in a big room, the gallery to the idol of the god. One of the idols of the gods reminds you of something Egyptian. The warrior found in the complex with his weapons very strongly resembles a warrior of Mesopotamia, Anunnaki, Sumerians. Around this idol are placed smaller images of statues, some very beautiful in form, but they have crooked necks and deformed shapes, symbolically perhaps of good and evil. There are 2 large cacti with protruding arms, one on each side of the platforms on which the occupation of the deities are placed. They are made of a rock that looks like Greek marble. Tools made of copper were found in the opposite corner of the cuneiform hall. These people undoubtedly knew the lost art of hardening metal, which has been sought after by chemists for centuries to no avail. There is also coal that shows that they made some of their weapons, which were made of copper, iron, gold, silver, and steel. There's also slag and similar things with mats, showing that the ancients melted these ores, but so far no trace of where and how this was done has been discovered, nor the formula of the ore. Among the other findings are vessels or jars and cups of copper and gold with a very artistic design. The work includes enameled ceramic utensils and glazed vases. Another corridor leads to the barns, where they are located on the east side of the temple. They contain seeds of various kinds. A very large warehouse has not yet been registered, but it is 12 meters high and can only be reached from the above point. 2 copper hooks extend to the edge, indicating that some kind of ladder was there. A gray metal wand was also found in the cave, which scientists know nothing about. It looks like platinum. Scattered on the floor everywhere is what people call cat eyes, a yellow stone that has little value. Each of them is engraved with hieroglyphs almost like an Egyptian one. In all the vessels or walls above the doors, but also stone slabs found there, are the mysterious hieroglyphs. Where they are, the key for which the Smithsonian Institute, which still exists today, hopes to find out. The making of the tablets has more to do with the religion of the people. Similar hieroglyphs have been found in southern Arizona. Among the iconographic writings, there are only 2 animals. One is a prehistoric type. The tomb, or the crypt in which the mummies were found, is one of the largest. The chambers, the walls, are sloping backwards at an angle of about 35 degrees. Mummies are placed on these steps, each occupying a separate carved shelf. Each one is a small bench on which the copper cups and pieces of broken swords. Some of the mummies are covered with clay, and all are wrapped in a cloth made of bark. Shrines or cups on the lower rungs are thick, while just on the higher shelves the pots are thinner in design, indicating a later stage of civilization. It's worth noting that all the mummies examined so far have proven to be men. with no children or women buried here. This leads to the belief that this unit was warriors, and these were barracks. Among the findings, there are no animal bones. Many of the rooms are bare, one room about 40 to 700 feet. It was probably the main dining room because the kitchen utensils are here. 500,000 people could have lived in this cave comfortably. One theory is that the present-day tribes of Indians found in Arizona are descendants of slaveholders or slaves of the people who inhabited the cave. Undoubtedly, thousands of years before the Christian era, a people lived here had reached a high level of civilization. The chronology of human history is full of gaps. Professor Jordan is very enthusiastic about the discoveries and believes that the find will prove invaluable to archaeological world. One thing I have not talked about, it may be interesting, there is a chamber, a passage that is not ventilated, and when I approached a deadly gas, a snake smell was about to kill us. Our light could not penetrate the darkness, and until we have stronger light, we will not know what the chamber contains. Some say that snakes give birth here. This idea is not what I believe. I believe that it may contain deadly gas or chemicals used by the ancients. No sounds, but it smells like snake venom. The whole underground installation gives a strong tone, a strange tone. Gloom is like a weight on our shoulders, and our flashlights and candles only make the darkness darker. Imagination can enjoy in speculation and disrespectful daydreaming in the depths of the centuries that have passed so far in this space. There is an Indian myth to the story. It's noteworthy that among the Hopi Indians, the tradition is said that their ancestors once lived in an underworld in the Grand Canyon until a dispute arose between good and evil, people who had a heart and people with two hearts. Macheto, who was their leader, advised them to leave the underworld, but there was no way out. The leader self-sacrificed in an underground tree to grow and pierce the roof of the underworld, and the people with one heart climbed out. They sent a message to the Temple of the Sun with a messenger, asking for the blessing of peace, goodwill, and rain for the people with one heart. This messenger never returned, but today the Hopi villages at sunset, he can see the elders of the tribe from their tents gazing at the sun, looking for the messenger. When he returns, their lands and ancient dwelling place will return to them. This is a tradition. Among the animal engravings in the cave, there is an image of a heart above the point there. There are two theories about the origin of the Egyptians. One is that they came from Asia, another that the tribal base was in the Upper Nile region. Herein, an Egyptologist believes that the Indian origin of the Egyptians. The discoveries of the Grand Canyon can shed more light on human evolution and prehistoric times. Although the years have passed, it has never been known what has been discovered in there. It's almost unknown what is in there. It's the most impregnable archaeological find in the world that even archaeologists do not know what is happening there. There are archaeologists, but they are specialized by the state, and they only deal with it and nothing else. Many speak of extraterrestrial cultures or even extraterrestrials. This is because in 1933, the archaeologist Tom Andrew, where he explored the cave for a while, said, "I wish I could take pictures to show you what's in there. It seems to be an underground city that hosted almost 1 million people. There are many corridors that go inland for hundreds of miles, and then we find findings. I will not agree with the Egyptian explanation. The hieroglyphs look like they are not Egyptian, and I really cannot understand why they do that, to say that those who were in here are Egyptians. The statues depicting the gods have nothing to do with the Egyptian gods. It's something else, reminiscent of something between East Buddhism and the Egyptians, as if they have become one. The most curious of all is that the whole underground complex, that no one knows how big it is, has been built from the inside out. There are metal objects that scientists have no idea what metal it is, but there are some statues that show from the structure that they could walk. One of the most enigmatic questions is how they illuminated this whole underground complex, which does not seem to stop anywhere. Also, some of the archaeologists and assistants have felt something watching them closely without ever seeing it. They have also heard from the depths of the subterranean complex various speeches and people talking, or so it seemed to them. You see, if you sit there for a long time, the mind makes its own imagination. I say this because the FBI forbade me to disclose it because of state secrecy. For me, in archaeology, there is no state secret. I believe that people should learn about every ancient civilization, even for those who are unknown, like the one here. As an archaeologist, I will not stop giving information, he said. They say that these are sketches made by the now missing archaeologists, and it shows that one city they found somewhere deep inside another chambers with mummies. This was the last time anyone saw him. After that, he disappeared, was never found again. He gave this short and interview to the then local paper. The remarkable thing is that no one then and until today does not know his name, but also as an archaeologist, or his data disappeared as well, or he was not an archaeologist, but if it was not, then what was it? Since then, no one has given more information about the place except some photos from inside this underground kingdom. Although I was in the area and I tried to approach the point, not to enter, which I would love to do, but to see the place, I was stopped by 2 foresters and told that it is forbidden area to approach. Then I asked them why. I was politely told that this has been decided by the American government for 70 years. I was suggested to go and see other places from the Grand Canyon where it is more touristy than where I was. Although I tried to find out more from locals, everyone told me that all they knew was that it was an underground chamber of Egyptians that was swept away by the sea from the Mediterranean. God there, this is what they have been saying for a long time, and that is what they believe. No, I do not deal with the common people, but they believe that they are served because maybe they are not looking for it. So suppose they are right and the Egyptians managed to get to America, which I have no doubt may have done, because they did not build pyramids like in Egypt, and an Egyptian culture flourished there on the coast, but they preferred to get inland and in these wild places to make something that requires hundreds of thousands of hands to do. That is, we're talking about thousands of ships from Egypt to leave and go to America. Some say that the Native Americans left and built the Egyptian nation, and that is why they are so red and black. I do not know when to laugh at these theories that many people really believe that the carob is served by every archaeological institute like the Smithsonian. The irony is that this opinion has been accepted by many archaeologists without seeing that when the most enigmatic archaeological basement state complex in the world flourished. But if the well-known and award-winning archaeologists say so, it will be so, and they do not raise the discussion. I know I'm becoming cynical, but I cannot, because those who have opposed such institutes have lost their jobs immediately and became the laughing stock of the world. There's no other evidence to give you. Whatever I tell you or tell you above will be a lie. But America, as you will see in the maps, has named the areas with Egyptian names of gods, but they have also made maps on it. It's ridiculous since no one can go to this point. But there are guides who for $220 will take you across the river and show you the Hopi ruins and their caves for what you thought you would see. So this is translated for you from a Greek article. And please leave your comments about this. And thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.